Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's the Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
It is time for another episode of the Entrepreneurial You podcast. Of course, I'm your host, Heneka Watkis-Porter, the creator as well of this show. If you have been listening, welcome back. And if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy to have you. Now, last week, I had a long overdue chat with the brainchild behind Traveler Taxi. It was really interesting to catch up with Damar Hutchinson, and I shared how he has always supported my entrepreneurial ventures and is in fact one of the persons why this podcast exists today. Now, this week, I'm going to be talking with a longtime entrepreneurial colleague of mine. He has had many challenges, which clearly have been springboards for his many, many successes. Before I bring him on, though, I got to thank the persons who make the mare go, and they continue to support the Entrepreneurial You. That's HenekaWatkis-Porter.com. Yay! The National People's Cooperative Bank of Jamaica Limited, committed to the growth and development of their members, Profit Jumpstarter, and the Jamaica Stock Exchange, whose podcast, the Jamaica Stock Exchange and You, is hosted and produced by me. So I implore you to give it a listen when you can, right? Here's a word from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And after that, I will be introducing my guest and getting our conversation off the ground.
We needed to raise capital, but our experience with local financial institutions was that they were cautious and slow to act, and interest rates were far too high. We had real concerns about financing our business through outside equity investors and the possibility of interference. Could we get a fair valuation for our business? We had our own ideas about the business and its value. Should I go the traditional route of bank financing, or should I try the Jamaica Stock Exchange? So we made a call and experienced transformation of our business through conversations. I'm John Mafood, CEO of Jamaican Teas, and we're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Welcome back. Today's business tip, courtesy of the National PC Bank of Jamaica, is invest. Investing is necessary for every business. Investing includes investing in yourself, which is gaining the knowledge and skills to run your business, investing in your products and services, tools, and marketing to maintain and grow your business, investing in stocks to generate extra revenue to grow your business financially, and more. So thank you so much to the National PC Bank of Jamaica for this opening business tip. The moment you've been waiting for, ta-da, drum roll. My guest on episode 278 of the Entrepreneurial You is Kevin Frith. Now, Kevin is a successful entrepreneur in a wide arena of businesses and a business consultant with proven expertise in local and international trade, business development, and management. He's formerly the Chief Executive Officer of Bar Central Limited and currently chairman of Ideas Execution Limited and co-founder and CEO of TCF Holdings Limited. Welcome, 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 Kevin.
Yes, hi, Heneka. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'll go on with yourself. But before we go in them bag of things, so we are going on something and all of these things, right? Let's talk about what you love most about being Jamaican.
Well, that's a good question. As I always tell persons that I've traveled a lot of places across the world, and I would never live anywhere else besides Jamaica. I love the food, I love the people, And I just love the spirit of being in Jamaica. It's like a different feeling. Whenever I travel and I return, as I reach the airport, it's like I feel totally different.
Yeah. Last week, Damar said it was the vibe. It kind of sum all of that, what you set up in one word. It's the vibe of the people. I love it. And the spirit, the spirit too captures exactly who we are as Jamaicans. And I concur with you, I've traveled so many places around the world as well. And I would not live anywhere else. I mean, I've given consideration to perhaps Colombia and maybe India. Yeah, random choices, but the experience, they were all really lovely. But really, there's nowhere else I'd rather be than in Jamaica. I want to travel the world, yeah. But to live, oh my gosh, Jamaica is home for me and will always be home for me. So yeah, I'm with you right there, 100%.
Most definitely.
All right, Kevin. All right, a long time, long time we've been charting this entrepreneurial path, and here you are. I mean, you kind of fell off my radar for some time based on, you do different businesses and you go your separate ways, and you kind of, because of the business that you're doing now, you don't really get in contact with the people that you would have normally, should you be doing another business. You know what I mean? So you kind of like, just like when you were going to school and you kind of lose track of your classmate, but then because of social media, you kind of reconnect and you say, oh my gosh, go to connect. So it kind of feel like that today, no, Kevin? It kind of feel like that.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So I want to go a little into your childhood, just give me a sense, paint a picture for us of what was that like?
Growing up between, say, birth and age 14, I was living with my grandmother and aunties, cousins in a garrison community. That's where I started out, in this community called Jonestown. And then at age 14, we had to leave because the violence started to get at a level that we couldn't bear. And then I would say at age 15, I basically started out life on my own, because after moving from the inner city, it's like a totally different experience of my entire family. So, not being used to paying bills and things like that. So it's like a total shock to one's mind, and everyone started to act weird. And at age 15, I basically had to be on my own, literally. And since then, it's just about trying to find solution to my problems,
Yeah. I mean, age 15 is a child, and many persons, in their 30s, 40s, or even older than that, are still living with parents. I'm not throwing any shade at anyone. I'm just saying, feels like they have no idea what it is like to do adult things, to be adulting and taking responsibility, paying bills and all of that. So what was that like for you? Did you think, that's the norm? That's what 15-year-olds do? Was that it for you?
You see, my main focus at the time was really survival, staying alive, not getting into trouble. I didn't even get the chance to consider whether or not it was a typical 15-year-old situation. I just had to be focusing on survival. But yeah. I would say when I look back now at that situation, I swear it really helped, and I've learned so much from it. My daughter will be 18 in December. Whenever I talk to her about certain things, and I try to give her certain examples of what I was faced with her at her age, or even younger than her. Sometimes she cuss and say, like, Dad, why are you trying to make a comparison between what you got through and what you think I should be doing now? I'm saying to her that probably it's not that I want her to experience the same thing, but I need her to use my experience as a way of showing gratitude for everything that she's experiencing now.
I mean, it's not just enough to learn from our experiences. It pays us well when we learn from the experiences of others. You know what I mean? So definitely get you there. You said this experience for you has taught you many things. What is one of those poignant lessons?
Well, I think it has taught me the real meaning of humility, because when you have to understand how to be humble in the middle of you trying to survive and at the same time trying to not get yourself into trouble, whether by seeing other persons with them things and try to steal it or follow bad company and run off on a tangent and start involved in crime. It has taught me humility to the point where I'm able to accept my situation and be humble with it, and also be focused on where I would like to take myself.
Right. Absolutely. So, self-awareness is what I'm hearing, Kevin.
Yeah, definitely. Because another lesson that I've learned from it, which is very important, and I try to talk to young people about it each time, is to be realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to accept what your situation is, and be humble enough to still have respect in every regard of what you're doing and who you're dealing with. And, in my view, you're unable to solve a situation without being realistic about it.
I know that you've had some health challenges in the past, and even at an early age, an accident. I kind of want you to share that because not everybody knows that story. And I kind of want you to share that so we can put everything into perspective and connect all the dots for you.
Okay. So at some point between being on my own, my grandmother told me to go back to school. I was employed somewhere. I had to leave that job because I needed to go back to school. And based on the fact that what my situation was at the time, I decided that the easiest way to solve that problem is to basically get a car that I can run taxi and have somewhere to sleep at night at the same time.
Interesting.
No, yeah. So I got myself into Dino Technical, was running taxi, met in an accident, lost the car. One night I was trying to get a new car or a bus to drive, walking downtown, because that time I didn't have a cell phone. So I was walking downtown, heading to a call box to make a call, and then crossing the road from left to right, and I was hit by a JUTC bus. This was in 2001, when those buses just started coming into Jamaica, and I guess the drivers wasn't so familiar with them. A lot of accidents was happening during that time when they just came to Jamaica, and unfortunately, I was one of them. I broke my left foot in the area of where it's called the tibia. I was hospitalized for about 5 days, and then I had to spend 6 months laying down, literally, because the cast was right up to my waist. So my left foot couldn't move as freely as I would want to. So I had to stay in bed, especially during the time of it setting back in place, because there was no metal placed in the area. So keeping one place was very important. Mm-hmm. Even during that time too, that experience taught me a lot too, because being there one place for that period of time, it's like a time when you get to think about a lot of things. You come up with ideas.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And after that recovery, I didn't get to go back to school because that happened when I was in 10th grade. So I did some CXC in 10th grade and I was successful, but I didn't get to go into 11th grade because of the accident. But after recovery from that, I started a business. I started a printing business, and then I never looked back from there.
Mm-hmm. So you started a printing business, and I kind of want to get a sense of the entrepreneurial journey that you've been on. So that was your first business, that printing business. Tell us a little bit about it, and then from there, where went you next?
My first business experience really was like I've been around my father from I was 5 years old. In his business, he was running a souvenir printing business that I was very familiar with. At age 10, I could literally do everything in that business. In terms of the production of the different items. 1 year, Jamaica hosted the World Junior Championships.
Mm-hmm.
And
2000, and let me tell you what year it was, 2002, because guess what? I'm looking right now on my wall, a diploma I got because I was a volunteer, and that was the year when Usain Bolt done the place, not you? Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
So that was like my first venture I did on my own, where I did some bandanas. And so I was selling them wholesale to persons who would go to the stadium and sell them retail. It was very successful in terms of at that time, and selling so many of them, it got me really excited. I started the screen printing business. I was doing like Jamaican souvenirs. I was printing on coffee mugs. I was making some cloth type thing that they call wall scroll. That was mainly being sold in the tourist market. So I would go to like the craft market downtown Kingston, or the one in Ocherous or Montego Bay, sometimes in Negril. That business evolved into a plaque making business. Still souvenir, but I migrated from the cloth scroll to a wooden plaque with like a epoxy resin coating. Did very well. Even in 2012, I was a part of the licensed company to manufacture the Jamaica 50 memorabilia.
Right.
Right. And, that did fairly well. It could have done much better, but it did fairly well. And I was satisfied.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're going to talk where you went next. But as you say that, I'm getting so excited, like, and having this feeling of nostalgia, because I'm looking at the official license product, that Jamaica 50 tag, and Patois Apparel was one of those businesses that produce those t-shirts for yes. But also, as you talk about your packaging, Kevin, the packaging business you have, if my memory serves me right? So I went into a sauce business as well when I was, I was at Devon. I was doing the whole t-shirt thing, and I also took on, went into the sauce business, and I'm looking at my packaging that I kept as souvenir. And if my memory serves me correct, you were the one who did those wooden packages.
Yes, the crate looking thing.
Yes, of course. I have it in my office still, because there are just so many memories with Patois Apparel and this brand, this condiment brand, which I can't mention because of legal reasons right now. But anyways, I always say to people, if you have not been in a lawsuit and you're doing business, you're really not doing business. You've not been. Anyway, I digress. Let's get back. So you're moving from the screen printing, and you're doing the crate thing, and you're doing scrolls and all of that. So where did you go next after that?
After that, I was basically spending a lot of time between the US and Jamaica. I was like consulting with some Jamaican owned businesses in the US, between New York, Connecticut, and Florida. So at the time, what I realized is that a lot of the businesses over there that are owned by Jamaican/Caribbean people, it is as if it's a side hustle. It's not run like it's a business that they're looking forward to grow. And it's a similar situation like what exists in Jamaica, where a lot of small businesses, they don't have any proper record keeping. They don't plan for the business, like, they plan to get from here to there by when. They just wake up, open up, and do whatever that they're doing.
Yeah, whatever wind blows them, whichever day it takes them in whatever direction. I get you.
Right. So traveling to the US and meeting persons while I was doing the Jamaica 50 promotions, I realized that there was a market there to connect with these business persons and help them to look at it from another perspective. So after the end of Jamaica 50 promotions, I was focusing on that area of the market, where I also got the opportunity to meet a lot of persons, and still have those connections. We still talk even up to today. I think I've turned around quite a number of businesses over there. Probably there's two that stand out the most, which is a printing company similar to what I was doing, not souvenir. They were doing more uniforms and stuff like that, but still screen printing. And then there was a restaurant, a Jamaican restaurant, that I also, those are the two that really stand out in terms of when I went in and when I got out, where it is or where it was at the time.
That's now going to take us into where you are today. But before we do that, before we go there, let me share a review that comes from a listener out of the United States, and he is Kingsley, and called Kingsley the Hope Dispenser. He's based in the United States of America, but of course he's a Jamaican. I know him. And he says, such great flavor. The Entrepreneurial You podcast will give you an insightful and rich practical content to help you navigate the entrepreneurial journey. Heneka does a great job interviewing her guests. It's obvious she is well prepared for each show. Great job, Heneka. Thank you so much, Kingsley. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for listening, for sending me a feedback. And of course, I know that you've been a guest on this show before. So thank you so very much. You know, you're running the full spectrum of things as it relates to listening and providing content as well, and giving your feedback. You know, I really appreciate you for doing that. You didn't have to. And if you wrote a review, please send me an email at henekawatkis.porter@gmail.com and let me know so that I can shout you out right here on the show. All right. So welcome back. I have been talking with Kevin Frith, and Kevin is just an embodiment of inspiration, you know, showing you what you can do with challenges rather than complaining about lemon being sour. You use it and make lemonade, and it becomes a refreshing drink. So yeah, thank you, Kevin, for spending time. So let's take it up now. You know, you've gleaned all of this experience and exposure through your consulting, through your entrepreneurial, you know, ventures and stuff. And now I think you're about to tell us about, you know, Bar Central Limited. You founded that company. And now you have Ideas Execution and then TCF Holdings. All right, just tell us a little bit about each of these. And then I want to spend some time on TCF Holdings for a bit.
Okay. So Bar Central was founded back in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
In 2017, I sold 75% shares to SSL Ventures, which was a listed company. The intention of that at the time was to significantly grow the business based on the potential that I was seeing at the time, but based on my lack of certain resources, I thought at the time it was best to partner with somebody who would have access to the kind of capital I'd need to grow the business.
Mm-hmm.
Bar Central was a company that primarily focused on handling down trade, sales and relationship and marketing for corporate companies, whether they manufacture or they distribute. Down trade would mean like community shops, community bars.
Right. I was just about to ask you about that. Yes, thank you.
Community shop, community bars, and events, local events or community events. So we had big clients. So we had Seprod, Grace Kennedy, Carrie Med, Ray Neville. Of course, Ray Neville was the largest client. Grace Kennedy, Lasco. So with clientele like those who constantly reach out to you to get feedback about their brands and how it's doing in the market, it was a clear signal to me that the opportunity exists for me to grow the business significantly. But then bringing in a venture capital company probably just wasn't for me because it didn't work out. And as a result of that, with all the issues that happened between 2017, I had to resign from the company in 2020, March 2020, right at the beginning of coronavirus.
Yeah, but before, why didn't it work out?
What people don't seem to understand is that it's better to okay, so my experience in that situation taught me that you don't go into something that you are not as familiar with and want to dictate how it should work and all of that because you think you may have a better way because of whether you think the person is just not capable or you think that you just have a better solution based on where you are at in your business. But then it was a ridiculous way to look at it, because clearly the strategy that brought the business to the point of me being able to offer shares to a venture capital company would mean that I'm clear on the model of the business and I'm clear on the strategy that make the business work. So for example, in that business, it's heavily relationship based.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to maintain good relationship between myself and the bar owners. And that is the key driver for the business. So you will call a bar and they won't talk to you. But if I call them, they'll talk to me. So it's a relationship-based business. And I guess at the time they didn't understand that, and they thought that without me, they could come in with their powers and make things work, and it just didn't work. Right. And the strategies that the business have to work on, probably there are strategies that they did not agree to, but that's what made the business function. And, sometimes it's better to just walk away from something if it's not working, because not everything is repairable.
True.
And that's what
pause right there, because I think that is a very salient point for entrepreneurs to understand. Understand not everything is repairable. Not every situation can be repaired. Sometimes you do have to walk away, and nothing wrong with that.
You see, the next thing I also tell entrepreneurs is you can't be sentimentally attached to anything, because
note to self.
Yeah, you will be damaged emotionally if you approach it like that. Because you imagine, I am the founder of a company with such a clientele that I listed out before, and then have to walk away from it. It took a lot of strength and understanding of my own self, which goes back to what I've learned in my struggling days of humility and being realistic. So, I tried to be humble to walk away, and that's realistic that it's not working. But then, I basically had certain clauses, so I couldn't compete with them in terms of them still having the company. So I had to wait out my non-compete term, which was about 6 months. And after that, I went ahead and started a company called Ideas Execution.
Go ahead, talk up.
Which I even prefer the name Ideas Execution.
Yes, raising the bar. Haha, pun intended.
Yes. So, Ideas Execution, it's basically the same thing, similar to Bar Central. But it's this time I've pitched the business to corporate companies that
so it's not limited just to a certain segment, yeah?
No, so it's more like I've been pitching it to let them know that okay, they have the ideas and we will execute them.
Yeah.
And we'll also share ideas since we're the ones that's on the ground. So through that company, we not only do the distribution and market surveys and research like we did in Bar Central, but we have also been focusing a lot on branding, which is on the marketing side. So like through that company, if you drive to New Kingston, right where the Ligani Club is, all that Rain Navy artwork on the wall is by that company.
Is ideas executed right there? Ideas have been executed. Yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm excited. I'm excited about everything that you're doing, and have done. Truly, I know the entrepreneurial journey is the road not easy. You know what I mean? And you go through different humps and bumps and almost that you remember that ad that you used to hear on JBC, was it JBC FM, through the green hills of Walkerswood?
Yes.
And the turn the Fern Gully. You remember that? Yeah, I'm aging myself right here. It kind of that's pretty much what the entrepreneurial journey is. It's not a straight path at all. It's not linear, right? An overnight success is 10 years in the making. You've been experiencing some successes and some failures too, quote unquote failures, because I don't believe in failures. But now we want to get to TCF Holdings, right? Ideas execution going well. You would have learned some lessons. I'm going to ask about your major lesson that you would have learned down the road, but I'm not for that yet, right? Let's talk about TCF Holdings, because I want to get there. And I learned about TCF Holdings and all that you've been doing with real estate simply because recently I have just fallen in love with real estate overall. Like, I am kind of binging on these reality series on Netflix that have to do with, selling real estate and these amazing properties. I think that's how you came back on my radar, right? Having lost touch for a time because of my excitement where real estate is concerned. So tell me about TCF Holdings. I'm excited.
In 2018, I was introduced to a project in Ocheres, a residential development of about 16 units, whereas the developer had some challenges and needed somebody to basically come in as an investor to help move it forward. And I went in, I brought in one of my friends in it as well, and we both invested and that project materialized. And then it wasn't completed until about the end of 2019. And during that time, from 2018 to the completion at the end of 2019, we were speaking with the developer in looking at other properties in St. Anne that we could develop. We found that another property going towards Fern Gully, there's a development there going on now called Ocheres Country Club. That was actually a project that I'm like a co-founder of.
Mm-hmm.
But, for my personal reasons and integrity reasons, I had to pull out of it. I decided that I would speak to my friend who I brought on the first one to let me and him look at starting a company to do real estate development, because after experiencing the first one and then investing in the second one, it's something that I decided that this is something I want to do. And it's a thing that was in me from a longer time, because my grandfather that I grew up with was actually in the old business of construction, and him loved build houses. Just funny how the universe brought me back to that field, but just in a different way. He agreed that we should look into something, so I went ahead and co-founded a company called TCF. So it's myself and my business partner. His name is Lance Thomas. So we founded TCF at the beginning of 2020, right after I resigned from Bar Central.
Mm-hmm.
And I was tasked as the CEO to come up with the first project. Again, I started to check around, and a friend of mine again say, him know of somebody in St. Thomas have a property that's going up for sale, and it's like literally 20 minutes from New Kingston. So I got the information, went over there, sat with the person, and me and him talk. He gave me the figure that the property was selling for, which was, I didn't have a clue where I would get that amount of money from. But then at the time, knowing myself, I know that, okay, from Mr. Mega do it, I'm going to do it. And I told him that, okay, I'm interested. Like, we spent about 2 hours the first day I met him. We walk around the property as far as he could show me. And I said, okay, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to do it. This is a 91-acre property. And I left very excited. I called my business partner and I told him that, look, I found the perfect land. We just now need to come up with the money. He asked what the amount was, and I told him, and it was very shocking because it was going to be a task to come up with that amount of money. But then, we met with all the stakeholders that we need to meet with. Between myself and him, we came up with the money to start the work in terms of a development plan for it. We pitched it. We got the money to purchase the land. We went ahead now and get all the consultants, architect, engineer, etc. We work out the subdivision plan, the design for the units, and we got our approvals. And so this project is called the Suncoast Beach Club. It's like literally 25 minutes from Emancipation Park. to reach 12 miles St. Thomas, right on the border of St. Andrew and St. Thomas. It's a 396 residential solution, which range from 2-bedroom townhouses, 3-bedroom townhouse, 2-bedroom duplex. There are some luxury apartments with penthouse, and there are also some 3-bedroom villas. Now, this is a project that's ongoing. We actually just started. We haven't officially broken ground as yet.
Please invite me. Thank you very much.
Definitely.
Add me on invite list. I'm so excited. Super excited. Keep going.
Definitely. We're looking to break ground either before the end of the year, but more likely in September. Just an official groundbreaking ceremony, because we're already out there working right now. We're doing the infrastructure works.
Yeah.
We're cutting the road and we're making preparation for the build out of the sewage system. So it's 396 residential solution, and then there's also 15,000 square feet of commercial space to the front that will basically house a daycare center for residents of the community. Then the other facilities there is for the general public, which is like supermarket, a service station for your car, not a gas station, just service. There's there will be about 3 electric charging ports for electric cars. There'll be an entertainment area with restaurant and bar, doctor's office. And basically, we're trying to make it a community, so it's almost self-sustaining.
In community. So, question, Kevin, where did the inspiration for that? Where did it come from? Because when I saw it, when I read about it, I'm like, damn, where did this come from?
Well, first of all, I would say I have a good team of persons working with, and my business partner is thinks futuristic. And, I would say for me personally, I don't like to do anything that don't stand out.
Yeah.
Right.
I can see that.
Right. So we went all out on this one, especially to the fact that this is like the opening project for the development of St. Thomas.
Right.
So we had to really go all out on this one.
On all out you're going, obviously. So when are they made available to the public?
We are doing it in 3 phases. Phase 1 is 133 units between 2-bedroom and 2-bedroom townhouse and 2-bedroom duplex. And the phase 1 went on sale for accepting applications on July 1, and we are oversubscribed with applications. We haven't yet started to do any allocations because we're going through the applications to make sure that we're checking out the clients to keep the community at a certain standard. But we're still accepting applications because, like I said, we're oversubscribed. We're vetting the application.
Right. So it's a creme de la creme kind of vibe, yeah?
Right.
Okay. So for persons who are interested in these units, who are they ideal for?
That's a good question. Upon designing this community, we took certain things into consideration. Me personally, I believe that whenever you're spending your money, you must get what it's worth or value for money. So the design of the community is really just for persons who are interested in investing in real estate, whether to live in or for investment purpose.
And so just like an Airbnb vibe, perhaps, eh?
No. Yes, Airbnb, but at the higher end. And persons who just want, they have a lot of cash tied up in the bank and it's not earning that amount of interest.
Yes, they want the appreciation that comes with owning real estate. I get you. I feel you. Okay.
And then, you're also targeting the pension funds as well, because they have a lot of cash sitting down, and the real estate would really give them more appreciation.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really designed for just somebody who want to spend money on real estate and want value for money. So the intention of it is to get a lot of working class people who can afford it. It's reasonable price. The 2-bedroom townhouse starts at like 350,000 US, which is approximately 53 million Jamaican based on today's exchange rate. So, when you look at what you will get for 53 million at Suncoast opposed to what you'll get for that same amount of money elsewhere, it make better sense to buy something that you get more value for. Because where we're located, I should let you know as well that we're on the beach side of the island.
Oh my gosh, like you just killed me right there. You just killed me.
So there's a lovely black sand beach that's there, and where the amenities that we're offering is exceptional. It's really designed for persons who just want to get value for money, whether you're going to live there or you just want the investment purpose.
Okay. All right. Thanks. I could have spent my whole time talking to you just about that, but I'm aware that time is going by, and I really wanted to keep this conversation at a certain length, within a certain time frame. But clearly, it's gone past that already. So let me just bring it back home and kind of wrap it up. And I hope through our conversation, Kevin, that my audience would have picked up your kind of almost roller coaster, rags to riches, may I say, kind of vibe. Like you've had the highs, you've had the lows, and everything in between. But here you are, and you're obviously not somebody to give up. You're obviously someone who you're going to stick it out, you're going to fight it out, because success. So I use success, yeah. And you're going to bag of things where that is concerned. So I'd love to get from you, what has been your lowest point as an entrepreneur and your highest point? Take us through there quickly.
Quite frankly, I would say the lowest point would be in my earlier stages in just starting up and not being familiar with the different issues and struggles that come with starting a business or owning a business. And, being unfamiliar with those things and no one to really, if you want to say, mentor you.
Tell me about it.
It can be a real struggle. There can be a lot of depression that you can go through, especially when the light cut off and you don't have no money in the bank to pay it, or Friday come and one customer don't pay and none of your employees cannot get paid because things are so tight that it's like an hand-to-mouth situation. As one money reach a bank account, it has to go in somebody else and right away. So I would say my lowest point is in the earlier stages when I was basically learning and growing as being a business owner. There was something significant that took place in my experience in business, which I would love to share just for a minute.
Go ahead.
So in I think it was in 2007 or 8. At that time, I used to attend a lot of PSOJ functions and stuff like that. And I remember at one of the functions I met Christopher Williams, which is the founder and CEO of Proven Wealth. And I met him and it was like, him just seemed like a cool person to me. Like somebody I could level with and, him could understand, because you can't level with everybody. You have some people pretend as if them don't understand certain struggles and certain things. And when you level with them want to cast it in this box as if you're the worst person or whatever it is, which don't make no sense because all of us been through it. As long as you have to start from a point, we've all been through it. But nevertheless, I met Chris and me and him talk and, him agree that he would mentor me.
Yeah.
And believe me, during that time, I've learned so many things in terms of how to deal with situations and how to look at things and, just how to understand being a business owner and what your priorities have to be. And one other thing I remember Chris always say to me is that Frith, because that's why I'm calling him by my surname. I'm say, Frith, if you want to be successful, you have to control your expense. That is the key. You can't rent a place for this one bag of money, and as you make some money, all of the money gone to rent. It is as if, you're not seeing anything out of it. He was giving me the example of how he started his business to say that even though they got a lot of support in terms of initial investors because they started a wealth management company, but when they were first getting an office space, them get a very cheap place and then buy used furniture, things like that. Me, my young state of business, I don't want to use furniture. And I'm paying attention to everything people think, like, I have to have this Chris computer, that. And that's not
Tell me
the
about it.
important thing.
By the
like-
way, that's why I ended up with storefront, Devon House, Central Plaza, all these things. Yeah, let me just say that too. I get you, feel you.
Yeah, so that is something that I think about each time I'm going to spend money. I remember what Chris would say to me about controlling your expenses. I see where that benefited me tremendously, because when I was up to stress over paying the landlord $80,000 for the month, I moved out of that location and went somewhere that I was paying like $40,000 for the month. It made me feel better each time that, I'm actually growing. I could see the money at that time and feel better within myself working. I wasn't that stressed just to pay bills, etc.
That has helped you through your low point, yeah?
Yes, definitely.
And your high point. Now, let's close on the high points.
Well, I would say Suncoast, because it is I'd say, largest business venture in terms of dollar value. Because the project within itself, it's a $22 billion investment over all phases. So in terms of dollar value, I'd say it's my real biggest success or highest point. But for me personally, I really prefer the bar business, where I can see the results of my effort on helping bar owners to feel good about their business, not to just see it as a bar or them just a hustler thing. I feel more accomplished from that business because I can feel and see my efforts helping other people to realize their own potential in what they're doing. And I get real satisfaction out of that. But definitely, in terms of financial success and everything, the real estate business is the answer to that question. But in terms of feeling successful personally, it's really each time when I talk to a bar owner or a shop owner, and them really thank me for the effort that I've put in, and they show me what it's turning out to be, and they're excited about it.
Yeah. Kevin, it's few people may talk to, and the interview go to like over 50 minutes, 55 minutes, and all these things, few. All right. It's really been great catching up, and I could have continued and go on and on, but I'm going to end here. Take a 30 seconds or so to share your final thoughts, something that will, just bring home all that we've been talking about, to leave with our community of listeners, and then share how might persons get in touch with you.
What I would say in general, and this can apply to both upcoming entrepreneurs and successful entrepreneurs, is that be realistic. Always remember the word humility. It's very important. I would really like to see if there can be, like, for more successful people to deal more realistic in terms of how they treat persons in business who make mistakes or experience certain failures, because we know as successful people who started from the bottom that it's not an easy road. it's very difficult to.
See the glamour and the glitter and them think a better rose. Me say,
Yeah, man.
who
It's
feels
not
it knows? Yeah, I couldn't help myself. Sorry.
And I think we could have more successful entrepreneurs if persons who actually made it out would share with the upcoming ones in a realistic way as to how to really get there, and don't let them feel like, because when I look at the certain news and thing, you see those companies, there are several large companies that lose millions of dollars. And you as a little entrepreneur, somebody give you $1 million and you lose it, and they more embarrass you, and all sort of thing, when it's really uncalled for in some scenario. You have some scenario people really waste the money and you have to deal with them. But then you have another scenario where it's just a part of the growth process. So I would like if we can just deal more realistic and exercise humility.
Be more realistic and exercise humility. Where can we find you?
Well, I'm in Jamaica.
For now.
For now, yes. But I'm on LinkedIn at Kevin Frith. That's KevinFrith. Or I'm also on Instagram as King Frith. KingFrith.
Okay, thank you so much, Kevin Frith. It's been really a pleasure catching up with you, for real. Real.
Yes, man. Thank you very much for having me.
Absolutely. So, Kevin Frith, of course, as I mentioned earlier, he is a former CEO of Bar Central Limited, now chairman of Ideas Execution Limited, and co-founder and CEO of TCF Holdings Limited. Of course, Kevin, you heard it. He's been raising the bar as he executes ideas and take us on the Suncoast, the beach. He's doing amazing things. I'm not going with a bag of things, right? So I'm so happy that we're able to catch up today. And thank you for tuning into this episode with Kevin Frith. There were so many salient points for me, so many standout moments, but just hearing Kevin's journey overall, it's inspirational for me. And I remember when we were there as entrepreneurs, trying to just get it together, you know what I mean? The Patois part was a struggling business. I left Devon House for it's been a minute since I've left, to start this podcast and do other media stuff. And Kevin was doing his marketing and stuff. So yeah, it's been a journey, and I'm so really impressed with where he's at right now, and where he's going and his team and all of that, and excited to see what is going to be unfolded. Really, really excited. But so far what I'm seeing, very impressed with that. So I'm happy and I'm motivated and inspired. And of course, I'm going to continue one-on-one conversations with him off the air of this podcast. All right. So what has been your favorite standout moment? Send me a feedback at Heneka Watkis-Porter at gmail.com or on social media at Heneka Watkis-Porter. Remember, follow this podcast on your favorite podcast app, or connect with me for all things podcasting at henekawatkisporter.com. So here is according to the scriptures for this week. But remember the Lord your God, for it is he who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and so confirms his covenant which he swore to your ancestors, as it is today. Deuteronomy 8 verse 18. Walk good